Welcome to Breakthrough. I'm your host, Sharon Joseph, and as always, I'm excited to come to you live right here on Facebook and YouTube. Now, this is Breakthrough, where I share tips, tools, and insights for life. I am also the managing director of SAJ Consulting Services. I am a professional speaker, executive coach, trainer, and business consultant. Now, I'm also the history making president of the Laurel Highlands Toastmasters Club in southwestern Pennsylvania. And I'm excited to be a history maker. Fact is, we've been talking about history all of last month. And one of the things I spoke about being a history maker is the fact that making history has nothing to do with the color of your skin, but more so the color of your mind. And we delved into that topic really well. I hope you got some really great tips, tools, and insights. Today, I'll be talking or sharing basically my weekend with you. Now, it's been a full weekend. Wow. I just got back from Texas, Irving, Texas, for a conference called God Talks Live with Ed Rush. And if you don't know who Ed Rush is, he wrote the book, The 21 Day Miracle. Can you see this? Yeah. 21 Day Miracle. He's an amazing, amazing person. He also wrote this book, Warrior. So pick up a copy. They can be found anywhere on Amazon and so many other places. What I found out, well, if you don't know who Ed Rush is, he is an amazing pilot, and I'd hate to do him a dishonor by not sharing exactly who he is, okay? So he's been a fighter pilot, and he's had two tours. He's a decorated Marine pilot, and boy, did we say hoorah over the weekend. It was very exciting. But he's one of our country's leading instructors on aerial dog fighting. He is also a writer, and he shares focused messages that changes the world. So if you don't know who Ed Rush is, you need to check him out. He has clients who are many, well, first of all many of them are entrepreneurs, but he also has multi-million dollar clients, multinational organizations, including many CEOs. So if you're a CEO, if you're an entrepreneur and you need advice, you can also call Ed Rush. And this may sound silly coming from a coach sending you to another coach. Fact is, I believe that my coaching skills, as his own is as well, is targeted. So when you're trying to find a coach, you want to find a coach that's targeted to your needs. So I am going to encourage you, if you come to me and I can't satisfy your needs, guess what? I'm going to find you someone who can. And I think that's the way it should be. Okay, let's continue with this program. I'm excited to do several different programs this month. And as I said, I'll be giving you a recap shortly about my weekend in Texas. First, it took me, oh my gosh, almost a half a day to get there. I arrived at some crazy hour on Friday morning, and guess what? The conference began on Friday morning and went through Friday all day, Saturday all day. But what an amazing time with some really great, talented, I mean, insightful, really smart people were at this conference. And Ed Rush is just such a cool instructor. It was just wonderful to see. So I'll be sharing some notes from him. It was the first time I've been to a conference like that in a long time. So what I'd like to share in this broadcast are basically my thoughts on what I took away from the conference and kind of a final some wrap ups of what most people or other people got from it. Now, in this conference called God Talks, what I found was that many times we have some not right or debilitating thoughts about ourselves that impact or hamper the results we get in the things we want in life. If you've been around me for any length of time, you know that my mantra basically is to remind you that your mind is your most valuable asset. Take it from someone who has had a successful career on Wall Street and managed over 500 people in a major international organization. I have found that Many times people think that their bank account, their net worth in their bank account, is what their most valuable asset is. It's not. Many people think that it's their children, their homes, their businesses. No, it's not. Your most valuable asset is your mind. Why? It's in your mind that the thoughts that make your today and tomorrow comes from. So every broadcast, if you hear me repeat that, it's because it's so critically important to our success, bar none. And as I got there, I was reminded of something I've lived by, the fact that our words create our thoughts, and our thoughts then create our actions, and then our action then produces the results. They could be good or bad results. And if you remember, some time ago, I did a program on what is it, from ideas to implementation, and the necessity to just sit back, relax, and allow God to give you the ideas, or not to discard ideas that seem silly. So remember that as you go forward, because this conference reminded me so well that our results, our words, thoughts, and action produces results. Okay, so that's important. Another thing I share with you often is the fact that you and I, you or I, we are our greatest investment. Now, I said our mind is our most valuable asset, and it is. But our greatest investment is in ourselves, because when we invest in ourselves, we are able to duplicate or replicate or reproduce the things, if the things we have in us. So if we've lost something, it's not difficult to get it back if you have it in you. For example, if you learned how to build a business and it's broken, or it was lost, or however you lost it, fact is you can build a business again. Why? Because the investment you had to invest in you to build the first business, the knowledge you had to acquire to do that, you can do it again and again and again. Fact is, when the Bible talks about be fruitful and multiply, it's talking about you using what you have, planting it like a seed, and then doing the necessary things like investing time in nurture in kind of like, if you're a farmer, watering your plant, watering your seeds, and then see it grow. And when you grow things, the fruits you have, you don't eat all of it, do you? You become productive by, one, saving some to replant, selling some, and keeping some for yourself, and giving away some, actually. So it's the same thing about when you invest in you, invest in what you do, invest in what you think, invest in what you want to accomplish or acquire. It takes an investment. It really does. And when you produce, you can only produce after you've invested. As a farmer would invest time in planting seeds, in tilling the ground, and then watering it, and then you get results. Okay, so here are some of my takeaways, because these are some things I share with you on a pretty regular basis. So here are some of my takeaways, and my dear sister and friend Patty and Jim, shout out to you guys. I was able to share a suite with them in Texas. Oh my gosh. And Kim, Patty's brother, you guys rock. Thank you so much for getting me there on American Airlines. So grateful. Okay, so here are some of the things that we learned over the weekend. One is that we can indeed communicate with God. Now, that's something I share with you quite often, right? But it was just a great reminder that we can, ought to, need to communicate with God. Fact is, if you have a creator and created is not connected to the creator, then things can go wrong in the created, and if you don't go back to your creator, then you're broken. And fact is, I believe that many people are living broken lives because they are not connected to their creator. Fact is, our identity, if we don't have our identity in the person who created us, then we are likely to misuse who we are, because if you don't know the benefit or the objective of something, you are inclined to misuse it. If you try to use a phone as a microphone, it wouldn't work. Now there is a microphone in the phone, but I'm just saying, if you try to use a phone, let's give you a different example, as a pen, it wouldn't work. So you'll be misusing the use of the phone. So it's the same thing with us. If you don't know your identity, if you don't know your purpose, you are very likely to misuse yourself, your skills and abilities. By the way, this is not a produced type notes because I came in from Texas about 10 something 11 a.m. this morning. I had a recital for my niece Deanna at 2 p.m. and that was Matilda. It ran about 2.5, almost 3 hours. So consider this: flew in from Texas, got home about noon, no, 12:45 actually, and then had the musical at 2 p.m. Musical took 2.5 hours, about three, so that brought me home about 5:30. I had two friends who came home with me after the musical and spent about half an hour. So I had absolutely no time to type up notes and have my notes in the background. So these are all from my literal notebook, and it's a God Talks notebook too. It's really cool. I think Ed produced a really great conference. So here are some other things we learned: that our relationship with money can be hindered based on how we think about it, how we think about ourselves as well. Not just how we think about money, but how we think about ourselves. Because if we think that we are unworthy of having or keeping money, then more than likely we would not keep it. So we need to be very mindful about about how we think. And we did several exercises that allowed us to think about the lies that we tell ourselves and then the truths that God have. What are God's truth about the lies that we hold on to? Some of the things, and I'll share some of my lies with you. Some of the things we learned were the conscious. We learned about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and the fact that our subconscious mind is so much more powerful than our conscious mind. We learn to, what else? Oh yes, something I that I do, and I think it's worth mentioning because it's so important. The last half hour of your day, if you would take that, meditate your on the following day, meditate on important things that you want to accomplish. More than likely, when you wake up the following day, your subconscious would be giving you answers to those things, because once you put it in there and you are asleep, your subconscious mind is able to work on them, produce results that can truly make a difference. The sad thing is, many times when our subconscious mind is speaking to us, we tend to discount or edit our thoughts and thinking. And that's something else we learned to, we had some time to write, and we were not allowed to edit anything. We're just supposed to write what came to mind. And that reminded me of NYU, because in some writing classes I took, we had to write like for 15 minutes and don't stop. Just keep, no editing, just keep writing. And I was just like, oh my God, this is reminding me of NYU. But anyhow, moving on. Something else he said that was impactful to me, and this is something I know because I'm very mindful about the people I have in my immediate surroundings, or my inner circle, as I call them. He said that we are the sum total of the five people we spend the most time with. We are the sum total of the five people we spend the most time with. That I see it in others, and now it's made me even more conscious of myself, to be mindful of the people I allow to be part of my inner circle, because it could certainly impact you. He also mentioned, Ed Rush, that is, mentioned that his life, it runs based on the simple thing: easy and light. Everything everything that comes to him divinely from God, and it is easy and light. And when you think about who God is, God said to give us his burden because his yoke is light. And he that resonated with me as well, because for the past 10 years I have been learning how to do that. And it's not an easy thing, but once you get it, you get it. You have a piece about everything. And to share with you, when I was going to Texas, I was supposed to be on one direct flight that would get me there in like 2 hours. But because I was on standby, I had to take a later flight. And that flight was going through Raleigh. Now, because it did that, it really threw me off by many hours, and that's what caused me to get in so late. When I got there, in addition to not going with my original plan, God had to give me the peace to deal with the shift in His plan. And then I got to Texas, and my luggage, I got to Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and my luggage was at another terminal. I'm not sure how many of you know how big Dallas, Texas's DFW airport is. It is massive. It took like 10 to 15 minutes on a bus or trans, I guess it's a bus, a shuttle, to get from one terminal to another. So I arrived in one terminal, but my luggage arrived earlier in another terminal. So it was just such a really stressful time. But guess what? I believe it was all worth it. And every step along the way, I believe I was able to impact some people's lives or even one person's life for the better. And that's what life is all about. That's what my life is all about. Living passionately, living with passion and purpose. It's about impacting other people's lives with a spirit of excellence. Another mantra of mine is to live a CIA life. That is to live with character, integrity, and an amazing attitude. You cannot live with character, integrity, and an amazing attitude and be sad or not be joy filled for very long. Things will happen, but if you consistently work on living like that, you'd be able to work through the issues of life and still be joy filled. Think about that. And by the way, in case you don't know, the joy of the Lord is our strength. It's not that everything we do will be joy filled, but having the joy of the Lord gives us strength to do anything. Okay, so I was also impressed by something Ed said at the beginning of the session. He said, when life, or what he said, I interpreted to mean this to me. He was talking about flying the F 18. Is it the F 18? Yes, F 18. Just want to make sure I don't want to misspeak. I believe it's the F 18 I read. Yes, F 18 fighter. He said it's been designed by the creators of the aircraft that if something is going wrong or you lose control of it, you need to let go of the reins, let go of the steering. And when he said that, what came to mind was when life seemed to be out of control, let go and let God. That just really blew me. Even in the air where it's a life and death situation, when things seem out of control, you need to let go. And we need to probably learn that here on the ground too. When life seems to be out of control, let go. And he also said that there is hardware and software. We know that because in every computer, in every phone, there's hardware and software. And okay, hardware and software, and it comes back or recognizes that, oh, yes. So when it's out of control, we let go or we turn it off and turn it back on many times, and our phone works. And that our words are like signing a contract. Wow. Now, we all know that death and life is in the power of our tongue. And that's why this rang true to me, because when you speak negative words, you're signing a contract for negative things to come to you. And when you speak positive, life giving words, you're signing a contract for positive, life giving things to come to you as well. So, what else? Oh, this is something that I remembered that he may not have said it, but I remembered it. What occurred to me as you were speaking was when people accuse you of things, and when people speak negatively of you or give you a 1-star review, there's no need to defend yourself. When you think about the ministry of Jesus Christ, I have never once heard read anywhere, or it is not written anywhere, that Jesus defended himself. Nowhere. When you think of creation, and we know about Adam and Eve and them eating the apple, when God asked Adam, Adam, what did you do? You know, he said, the woman made me do it. By him speaking, defending himself, he literally gave the woman control. So God now asked the woman, right, what did you do? And guess what she did? She didn't stay quiet. She thought she'd defend herself too. The devil or the serpent made me do it. By her saying that, she gave control of earth, of us, to the enemy, to Satan. Think about that. So when someone comes and accuse you, like when someone come to me and say, "Well, Sharon, this is not going right," or I don't know, I'm upset about one thing or another. And recently, that this actually happened to me. An officer came to me, or she sent an email, basically saying how disappointed she was or how upset she was because of whatever the issue was. And I realized immediately, or any good leader knows this, there's no passing the blame. The buck stops here. So when next someone gives you a bad review, or feel like you need to defend yourself, don't. Keep your power, be your leader, stay your leader, and just accept what they say. Then ask yourself the question, is what they're saying true? Because being introspective is really important to us being great leaders. So ask yourself, is this true what they're saying? And if it's not, then be okay with what they say and move on. And this came to mind when Ed shared the fact that someone gave him a 1-star review or something. And he also reminded us, in order to get to 50 million reviews, you're going to have some 1-star reviews out of the 50 million. So that was really cool to me. Okay, what else do I want to share with you from this weekend? Yes, this part was really important to me because there are some things that we have turned on a continual basis. We are our worst critic. Do you know that even after these broadcasts, it takes me a while to even want to go back and listen to them? Fact is, I have so many of them to go back and listen to because I am my worst critic. Sometimes we need to turn that inner voice, that inner critic off, and instead ask God, what lies do I believe about me? And I had to ask myself many of them this weekend. Oh my goodness. I went back to my room and I was literally in tears before I went to bed. Many times we believe that we need X, Y, and Z in order to be successful or to fulfill our purpose or our calling. Fact is, if you ask yourself, is this really true? Do I really need this X, Y, or Z in order to move to my next level, in order to accomplish my purpose? The answer is really no. We believe it probably because of something that has happened in our past. For example, I never felt worthy growing up because I couldn't speak well. I've shared that story where I stuttered so badly I couldn't say my name is Sharon in a sentence without stuttering through every syllable. Something about that experience from childhood into adulthood left me thinking that I'm not worthy to be spoken to. I'm not worthy to be loved and cared for. And somehow, despite all of my wonderful accomplishments, something in the back of my mind kept thinking that you're not worthy. And because of those thoughts, I realized, wait a second, I have been even pricing my services based on my negative inner critic, that voice that's telling me lies. I've been pricing myself, underpricing myself because of those, you're not worthy, you can't speak. This is from childhood, let's say 3 years old into 20 something years old. And I'm still holding that at the back of my mind that I can't instead of I can do all things. So ask yourself this question, what lies are you holding on to? And the wonderful thing about the session was that we literally had a form in which to fill out to list the lies that we tell ourselves and then to determine the truths that God, what does God say about it? And I thought that was really important. Okay, I think that's what I'll share with you today. There are so many different things. Maybe I'll continue this sharing with you about this weekend's conference next week because I haven't even delved into the many things I talk about that he spoke about. I was just so blown away by this because many of the things he was talking about, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I tell my guys every week. The fact that we tend to discount ourselves or sell ourselves short when we have so much greatness in us. And that's why last month, for Black History Month, we spoke about the color of our mind and not the color of our skin. Because there are two things we have in common. Everyone, no matter what color or what race you are, by the way, there's only one race, the human race. But no matter what color you are, black, brown, and by the way, there aren't any white people, but there are different shades of people. But fact is, we tend to think, especially black people, sometimes think that we can't do something because we are black. And I'm thinking, we need to break that lie. We need to get the truth that we can do all things because Christ is able to help us. But more than that, we need to understand that we have two things that are in common with anyone, no matter where they're from. We have a brain and we have 24 hours. It's what we do with those two things that truly make the difference. Why? When you think about it, we had the first successful open heart surgery done by a black man in 1894. 1894. And we know that things were not peaches and cream then, but he did it. What's keeping us back from doing great things? The lies we tell ourselves. So I'm going to continue this next week just for to keep us under 30 minutes. In the meantime, I wanted you to know this. Who you identify with, how you identify yourself will determine the results you get every time. I shared that story with you when one of the executives on Wall Street, we went out to lunch and he asked me, and he's a Caucasian male. Yeah, he is still an executive and he's still Caucasian and still male. We were out to lunch and he said, Sharon, what makes you different than every other black person I know? I'd never been asked that question before, but I knew that he didn't ask me to be racist. He asked me truly, truly out of ignorance, meaning the true meaning of ignorance, lack of knowledge. And when he asked me that, my response was, I know who I am because I know whose I am. I know who I am because I know whose I am. If you know whose you are, if you understand truly your identity, you will be able to work, operate, and do everything based on your identity. And fact is, our identity in Christ is amazing. There's nothing we cannot do. But if you think, well, I am black, and because I'm black, I'm being treated one way or another, then you have you have told yourself a lie, and by you living that lie, you will see the things you think about come to pass. So that's enough for now. I am excited that you took the time to join me. If you'd be looking at this in the future, thank you so much for joining me. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sharon A. Joseph DTM on YouTube, and click that notification button so you can learn more as I go forward. And also know that you are welcome to send me an email about your thoughts, and feel free to be critical as well. Trust me, I am all about leading, learning, and growing. So I take feedback really well, and I'm really able to decipher the good and the doesn't make sense or doesn't relate to me. It's just, and by the way, jealousy is real. And I don't even talk about or think about it because I don't operate based on that. But I'm just saying I'm able to decipher good comments and work and correct them, because that's what breakthrough is all about. Breakthrough is about consistently improving, growing, and making a difference, a positive difference. And in order to do that, you've got to be teachable. Okay, with that said, before I go, I'd like to say a prayer for you. I'm so grateful for this past weekend and for Ed Rush. I think he's someone who's going to be in my life for a long, long time because it was just so impactful. And he's such a humble, approachable person. So, with that said, I'd like to pray for you. Father, we're so grateful. I'm so grateful for who you are. I'm so grateful that my identity and who I am is hidden in you. It's wrapped up in you. It comes because of you. It comes through you. It's in you. Thank you, oh God, for all that you do for us. Thank you for your keeping power. Thank you for life, health, and strength, for love, for people, for help us first of all, oh God, to love and honor people. Wow. Because everything you give to us comes to people and then through people. So help us to truly honor and love people. Help us to recognize our identity in you. Help us to understand that our most valuable asset is our mind, and that our greatest investment is the investment we invest in ourselves. Help us to understand, oh God, that all things work together for good for those who love you and who are called according to your purpose. God, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are called to your purpose. Help us to understand that and walk purposefully and passionately in it. Help us to identify the gifts and the talents that you have deposited in us, and help us to use it to bless this world and bring you glory. We thank you, O God. For those who are sick, I speak and declare healing upon you right now. For those who are looking for jobs, I speak and declare, let that job be found. Go out and be bold and know and be confident in who you are and your skills and ability, and get that job. And if you need clothing, for as a woman, know that I'm happy. I have clothing. I'll be happy to clothe you to go get that job. Right now, oh God, for those in need of food and finances for one purpose or another, I just speak it, oh God, that it come, that you send people to be a blessing to them. And bless everyone who would look at this. Bless their families, oh God. Bless their circumstances. Bless them to be a blessing. I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So until next week, I encourage you to go out and be a blessing to someone else. Nothing we have is for us. Think about it. An apple does not eat its own apples. The apple tree produces apples for others to eat, for us to eat. So too with who we are, with our skills and talents and gifts. The gifting that we have is not for us. We benefit from it. We use it. We live on the resources we get from it, but our gifts are not for us. So I encourage you to go out, share your gift, touch someone else's life today. Honor people. Don't forget, love, honor, and be forbearant with people. Meaning, if someone is doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it could get you annoyed, if it's who they are and it's not life hurting or transforming in a negative way, why not be forbearant with them? Love, honor, be forbearant. And that helps to bring unity and love in any situation. Be blessed until next week, Sunday.